Welcome back. Now, in the previous segment, we touched on some of the players currently embattled in the streaming wars around the world as well as in Malaysia. But the biggest player right now in Malaysia to try and show their chops is, of course, Apple via their product, Apple TV+. They offer all original video subscription service. Starting November 2nd last week, customers can subscribe and watch Apple TV+ originals, both online and offline, ad-free and on demand via the Apple TV app. If you have an iPhone, an iPad, an Apple TV, a Mac or an iPod Touch, you already have the Apple TV app pre-installed on your device. Apple TV Plus via the Apple TV app is also available on select Samsung Smart TVs, Roku streaming devices and Amazon Fire TV devices if you live in the US, and will come to LG and Sony platforms as well in the future. They're covering all the bases. Of course, you can also access Apple TV Plus online, and the cost here is actually quite critical because just like when they rolled out Apple TV Arcade subscription service a few months ago, they are still starting on the same pricing point, which is 20 ringgit a month for a family subscription up to 6 devices and has some free trial period. Of course, if you've just bought a new iPhone, particularly the iPhone 11 for instance, or a new device likewise, you're going to get the first year free of charge. Now, this is a big deal to grow their subscription services because think about it, while they are taking a hit for their first year in terms of revenue for their subscription, Apple is trying very, very hard in growing from transactional services revenue to subscription services revenue. How much more can Apple rely on people buying the latest iPhone versus a small subscription fee that they're going to get this time next year, assuming that people have bought the new iPhone, will continue to buy in further? So I've got a few charts coming in. This is the first chart showing Apple sales 12-month ended by market this year. And while America really dominates the market, the kind of change that we're going to get is actually a greater share from rest of Asia Pacific as well as Japan and Greater China. Apple sales have relied less on the markets of the North America and South American markets as well as European markets, but to grow more in this side of town. The second slide will show the kind of devices that is running or driving the growth of Apple sales for the past 12 months. And of course, more than half is coming from iPhones. But this is the part where we want to drive through. Services is gaining fast traction there. From 17% for this year, it used to be single digits that just last year alone. Now, if this continues to grow, they're going to rely less on all devices from iPhone, Mac, iPad and wearables and more on services. And with services, this is where I was talking about, more on subscription service and less on transactional service moving forward. So this strategy has been seen by investors of Apple, and because of that, investors have been voting towards buying more Apple shares. The third slide here right now, if I can just pull this up, will show the biggest winner of all. There you have it. Apple prices have surged over this year since earlier in January, and they have surged up to 60%. What this basically tells you is that Apple is winning the technology war, not just the streaming war. And Apple is going to get the biggest transactional revenue service based on subscription for the first time in years, making Apple the second biggest revenue getter in terms of subscription, second only to Microsoft. And this is how we're now back to the old story of the duopoly between Microsoft and Apple. And this is the biggest story from the shift of Apple selling products per se and moving slowly towards their subscription services. It started with Apple Arcade, it's now moving towards Apple TV Plus, and of course the story now is on how people are going to stick with Apple TV. Because using the philosophy of Hastings, the CEO of Netflix, consumers continue to vote not just on the time of the wallet that they spend, but of course the time that they actually spend watching these kind of shows. So we'll go for a break. When we come back, we'll talk in detail about the value proposition that Apple TV Plus brings, particularly about what's currently playing on their platform, Apple TV Plus. That's coming up next. Thanks for staying on. We're still on the topic of streaming wars, and of course I want to focus a little bit more about the offerings right now on Apple TV Plus. When they first started out Netflix, they started with the same amount of number of shows as Apple TV Plus right now. But if you look at the catalog right now, it's actually quite small. We're looking at single-digit shows. But of course, as we talk, they continue to roll out more shows. So one of the biggest shows that they're trying to promote is, of course, the morning show. It's a show about the cutthroat drama starring and executive produced by Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston and starring Steve Carell. It explores the world of morning news and the ego and ambition of the misguided search for power of people trying to push for TV shows in America. And of course, the first 3 episodes are already out there. New episodes will roll out weekly. And these are the kind of things that are being pushed forward with trying to get the millennial market. Moving along with the children market, which is, of course, we know children spend more time on devices, is a show created by the Sesame Street people. It's called Helpsters, a new children's series from the makers of Sesame Street. It stars Cody and a team of vibrant monsters. They love to solve problems. My kid especially have watched all the episodes right now, and she says it's okay compared to the kind of Sesame Street that I used to watch. So it all starts with a plan. The complete season, of course, available already out there. That's for the children's segment. Moving towards the late segment of people wanting epic drama episodes, we now have former Aquaman Jason Momoa starring the new dramatic episode called Sea. Sea is an epic drama and is set 600 years in the future after a virus has decimated humankind and rendered everybody blind. So when all humanity has lost its sense of sight, humans must then adapt and find new ways to survive. And these kind of episodes are now available as well to target the epic drama kind of people that want to watch these kind of episodes. And of course, when we talk about these kind of feature films being created specifically on the Apple platform, one feature film has been created called Hala and is the official selection of the 2019 Sundance Film Festival as well as the 2019 Toronto International Film Festival. It follows a high school senior struggling to balance being a suburban teenager with her traditional Muslim upbringing. Talks about the clash of the world in between, old and new, and it definitely taps into the Western-dominated market as well as the Muslim market, particularly those, for instance, in Malaysia. I think these kind of dramas will serve well for those kind of services moving forward. Those are currently in play. One show that is coming up is, of course, M. Night Shyamalan's show, and it's called Servant. So Apple's Servant will premiere end of this month and will air exclusively on Apple TV Plus. It's a new home for the world's most creative storytellers. The half-hour psychological thriller follows a Philadelphia couple in mourning after an unspeakable tragedy creates a rift in their marriage. And this opens the door for a mysterious force to enter their home. Of course, when we talk about M. Night Shyamalan's executive producer creating this particular show, he of course have created The Sixth Sense and directs a series alongside BAFTA-nominated creator and its executive producer Tony Basgallop, who created shows like Inside Man, What Remains, 24, all this, it's going to be played very soon. So this is, of course, an exciting show moving forward. I'm going to play you a whole clip following this, but this basically wraps up my show for this particular week. I really hope you enjoy your weekend. Before I sign off, I'll play this particular clip. And of course, I wish you a very fantastic weekend until we meet next time.
Do you know who you welcomed into your home?
Leanne Grayson? Hello, Mrs. Turner.
Hi, I'm Sean.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Turner. You have a beautiful home.
She is a godsend.
I was expecting someone older, less weird.
We hope you'll treat our house as your home. I'm sure you and Jericho will form an instant bond.
She's cool with everything? She knows the situation. I guess we should talk about this. She's gone. You can put the doll down now.
I'm fine as I am, Mr. Turner.
We lost Jericho when he was 15.